Hey goddess, it's Abiola and I am in Chiswick in London. It is about to be dark out. I'm catching the last hours of the daylight to record this video that frankly is the third or fourth time that I've tried recording it. I've literally switched 3 different countries since I started to want to make this video. And clearly my resistance is showing. Hey girl, your resistance is showing. And what the video is about is, Doreen Virtue, who is a teacher and a leader and has been for many years in what is considered to be New Age spirituality, has found a different calling and a different path, and sort of clearly denounced the things that she was teaching and certifying people in before. So what does that mean? I want to start first with my resistance around making this video that I've been wanting to make and aching to make because it directly affects members of my specific tribe of women that I am blessed to hold space for. I am the leader of the Spiritpreneur Warrior Goddesses, and so I teach, I create products for, I hold space for, and I coach women coaches and leaders and creative gurus, some of whom who have certification from Doreen Virtue. And I think that I was resistant to make this video because not only, have I learned from Doreen Virtue. For example, I hold space for women in spiritual business, and the very first spiritual business, how to start a spiritual business mini course and course that I took was from Doreen Virtue. But I think also, I have the cultural barrier of having been raised very much to protect, well, no, not protect the word, but to respect your elders and your mentors and your gurus. So I think that is my personal resistance why I started out trying to make this video for you in Key West, Florida. Then I was in the Bahamas before the hurricanes, and prayers to the Bahamas and Key West and all of the areas affected. Then I was, in New York City, and now I'm in England. And okay, I'm finally making this video because I do what I say I'm going to do. Here's the thing. Just because if you are attending a church, a synagogue, or whatever, a mosque, and the spiritual leader suddenly changes their mind or renounces the teachings, it doesn't mean that what you have been learning, feeling, believing is no longer valid. This is a particularly painful conversation for so many people in my community, because Doreen Virtue and her work, which if you're not familiar with it, a lot of it was around speaking to angels and channeling your power with ascended masters and using her cards and to be able to have tune into your fullness and your greatness and hold space for others in being able to receive higher guidance through enlightened beings, basically. And she gave a voice, specifically to, I've spoken to, a few people who have her certifications. She gave a voice to a lot of people, a lot of us who, knew that we weren't, just of this world, that we were spiritual beings having a human experience. And she gave a voice to a lot of us who, like a friend of mine said, she knew that she was directly having conversations with, ascended masters and angels and other beings. And Doreen Virtue is the first work that she found that gave a place to that and said, hey, I see you, you're valid, you exist. And so she has those certifications. So, if the spiritual leader that you're following suddenly denounces the teachings, it doesn't mean that the teachings aren't valid. It means that the teacher, has evolved to think something different. And Doreen Virtue, like all of us, is entitled to evolve, entitled to grow, entitled to be whoever she feels that is the fullest representation of herself on this planet. And I love her. I send her blessings. I'm grateful that she exists. I'm grateful that I have taken her teachings and took that very first spiritual business course with her, and now I'm teaching my own spiritual business courses. That is a blessing. I want to say to you that it's really important, that we know that even though you may be enamored with a certain teacher, like I have my gurus, like the late great Dr. Wayne Dyer and Louise Hay, who helped open a place of light for me when I was in a place of darkness, or the incredible Queen Afua and her teachings around womb power and womanhood, or Iyanla Vanzant, back when I was reading her first books back in the days, etc. Even though it may feel like we're linked into a certain teacher, Reverend Michael Bernard Beckwith, who for me is also transformational. It's not the teacher, it's the teachings. And so if a teacher suddenly denounces what they are doing or have been doing, of course it's devastating, especially if you've gotten a certification in their work, but it doesn't make your experience different. It doesn't make your experience no longer valid. It doesn't mean that what you were seeing, saying, believing, feeling was not true. I see you, I feel you, I hear you, you are in alignment, and what you say and do matters. Could it have been handled differently? Absolutely, of course. But we as human beings evolve, and there are teachings that I gave before. Uh-oh, is it the train? It's the train! I don't know how good my microphone is, but there are there's advice that I gave, a few years ago. My first entree into this work was specifically around giving love, sex, dating, and relationship advice on sites like Match.com, TV shows like on MTV and other networks and whatever, where, a lot of it was like, not a lot of it, but some of it was like, F him, girl, you don't need him advice, right? That I wouldn't necessarily give today. And not because, I'm a liar or I, want to denounce what I've said before, but because my thoughts have evolved as my own spiritual practice and understanding has evolved. My understandings around shadow work and coming into yourself and coming into your power, etc., have evolved and grown. And so, my opinions, my advice, my teachings have evolved. Now, it's a bit different when it's a certification involved. Hay House is a beautiful company, and if you contact them, from what I understand already, provisions have been made for people who have certifications. But if you haven't already, get in contact with them and talk to them, have a conversation, and you will figure out a way to make sure that the time and the money that you spend on your teachings is recognized. Okay, you are necessary. If I suddenly go crazy tomorrow, and denounce everything that I've been teaching, I doubt it. It's more like my craziness brings me deeper into the fullness and expression of knowing who I am on this planet, knowing who you are, and knowing what our joint mission is together. But if tomorrow I suddenly went crazy, and right here, I don't know if my phone is gonna fall off my tripod, but I am working on my latest deck of goddess affirmation cards. I make affirmation cards. I make, meditation albums, etc. If I suddenly said, hey, the rose quartz crystal ball that I work with, healing rose quartz ball, you can't see the beautiful, oh, there it is suddenly, not valid, or, evil, or something crazy like that, I it wouldn't happen. But if it did, go within, because I am your sister on this path. I am a spiritual teacher and a spiritual student. Go within and speak from your own heart chakra, your own crown chakra, of what you know to be true. Okay? It's not the guru. It's the teachings. Sometimes the gurus light the candles along the way, and you follow the candles, and then you may get to a certain place and that teacher can't bring you any further. And that's maybe just what happened in this instance. And so right now, if you have been feeling any kind of disappointment or consternation around this issue, and even if you haven't and you're not familiar with it and you're just watching this video, let's just go within and let's just send love. Send love to the beautiful Doreen Virtue. Let's thank her for her teachings. Let's know that we all have the right to evolve and be who we were born to be, right? And let's be grateful. Let's be grateful for what brought you and I together. Maybe this whole thing happened so you and I could have this conversation today. Life unfolds in sometimes confusing but always magical ways. And while we are here for this journey together, let's always look for the light switch whenever possible. Now, side note, that doesn't mean ever Pollyanna, happy, happy, joy, joy. I don't teach that. I don't believe in that. I believe we have a right to feel all of our emotions. And so if you are angry, if you are pissed off, if you are sad, if you are disappointed, be that, feel that, live that for a little bit of the time. Live your greatness and your power for the rest of the time. Feel your feelings, allow yourself to feel what you're feeling, and then raise your vibration. Come into alignment with the biggest part and most joyful part of yourself and who you are and your power, your teachings. Maybe another teacher or leader, train, or mentor. Maybe Doreen Virtue is making room for you. Maybe she's making room for you to rise up and share what it is that you were born to share, right? So that is one way to look at it. Maybe now those teachings need a face and a voice, and maybe that face and that voice is you. So come on through, magical goddess being. Come on through and make it happen. If this has been a situation that brought you unnecessary strife or struggle or pain, I hear you and I send you love. It is not easy. I recently had an experience where a spiritual teacher did something very, very disappointing and upsetting, not to me, but just in the world. And it was heartbreaking, and it still is heartbreaking. But again, I had to remind myself that it's not about the guru, it's not about the teacher per se, but it's about the light that was opened up inside of me. And again, hey, it's time for us to step up. A lot of times it's a different conversation, but our mentors are dying. I've had several of my mentors die over, the past 2 years. Mentors that I knew and mentors that I never knew, but are my mentors from afar. So what does that mean? It means you and I are up to bat, Cookie. Means you and I are up to bat. It's our time. It's our turn. So I look forward to us having this conversation. Leave me a comment. How does this affect your life? Did you know, or does it? Or were you not aware of any of it? Either way, leave me a comment. Let me know what you're thinking. All right? Score! Be seen, be heard, be a beautiful movement. Namaste. The divine in me sees the divine in you. We got this, goddess. We got it.